Hashtag Doggy People with Phil Lassman.
So back to the doggy thing. So look, Mark, I know that you're an ambassador and patron of several different animal welfare charities, including the Mayhew, Raystead, Edinburgh Dog and Cats Home, the Oldies Club, and also you're a patron of a little charity that's very close to my heart and wallet. It's All Dogs Matter. That's right. So, do you know, I've got to ask you, we had Peter on the show recently. Who is patron of more charities, you or Peter?
Peter, way more than I am. In fact, it was his birthday the other day.
I know.
Twitter turned into some sort of happy birthday, Peter appreciation. It was unbelievable how many charities and campaigners were wishing him happy birthday. And it was fantastic. And he answered everyone, obviously, as he always does, very generously. But it was phenomenal to see that sort of outpouring of love for the Peter Bear. And no, it was great. I was very fortunate to see him the week before, and I gave him my present, and we spoke on his birthday. So I had a personal call from the great man. But
well, you two are like that, aren't you?
Oh, he is the best.
And I know he is a beautiful man. He's a beautiful man. I'm very proud to call him my friend, and you as well. You're both the same height and stature. You're two big guys. I'm like a little puppet between you. And of course,
the thing is, Phil. There's a few things to mention about Peter. I mean, obviously he's amazing, and we all love him for that and what he does for animals. But for me, when I come and see, obviously I lost my dad a few years ago, and my dad and Peter worked together in the 80s. Yeah, so Peter was. My dad was in advertising. My dad was in advertising, and Peter was doing voiceovers. So they actually had worked together, and they only realised that when I think Peter gave my dad a lift home from Parliament one day after an event, that they realised. And they're very, very similar, and he's kind of become my new kind of father figure. So when I come up and see my mum in northwest London, I go round the M25, obviously from Brighton, and I often now stop off at Peter's, and we go for almost like a father-son sort of dog walk and catch up.
Oh,
and it's
lovely.
Incredible, yeah. And I think we both enjoy it. I hope he enjoys it. But we have a great time catching up and just being in each other's company. And there's something really because there's a connection with my dad, my late dad. There's something a whole new energy about it. And yeah, I look forward to those moments. Yeah.
Well, I had no idea about that, Mark. That's thanks for sharing that. It's beautiful. I know I see you two together all the time, and you listen. On my little tweets that I do, I refer to the two of you as titans. To me, you are both titans. You two are spearheading animal welfare. I mean, you're two of my absolute heroes.
Oh, and of course, you.
No, I'm not schmoozing you. If I didn't think it, I wouldn't say it. But honestly, I'm a newcomer. I mean, I've come to the world of animal welfare and dog rescue, firstly because I'm married to Ira. But once I got into it, it was you and Peter. You two have given me tremendous inspiration. And in fact, even I'm not there completely, but I'm trying to go to become a vegan. I mean, I haven't eaten meat for about 4 years. I'm not quite. I'm not quite.
It's easy, isn't it? It's easy.
But, well, yeah. I mean, there's certain little things. But I was talking to Peter about it. But listen, if anyone can get me there, you two can. Anyway, but I know, like Peter, you mentioned him before. We can't do a podcast without mentioning him. You're both mates with the awesome Ricky Gervais, and I mean, how lucky is everyone to have him, because he really is absolutely mad passionate about animals, and because he's got a global platform, he bothers himself so much to do so much. And he's into every single facet of animal welfare. He helps every single charity. He's done massive things for Ira.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, really, Ira's backwards and forwards to his house because we don't live very far, and there's nothing that he won't do really to generate some funds for All Dogs Matter. And you obviously knew about the brew dog thing that happened.
Yeah, I've got my cans. Yeah, I love it.
which is awesome. And of course, it benefited another guest that's coming on shortly, Michelle from Dots.
Who I have to say is one of the most incredible human beings I've ever met. And Michelle comes to Brighton now for a bit of time out from the London stuff, and we hang out every time she comes down, and we've had some great chats on the beach. But she is an unbelievable person. In fact, you know what? I mean, that's one thing about animal welfare. It does introduce you to some just amazing people who you wouldn't really meet otherwise. And yeah, to know Michelle and to know Peter and to know Ricky and the whole community of animal welfare is it's almost like a big counselling group, really, because you know it's pretty horrific having to deal with not so much the campaigning side of things, but being sent stuff all the time. So when you're around people, and that includes yourself and Ira, you don't have to explain anything. You don't have to argue with anyone. You don't have to prove a point. You don't have to provide a document or any evidence. You can just enjoy each other's company because you're all on the same page. And everyone you've mentioned so far, and obviously loads more people in our sort of animal welfare world, and that sort of extends across, you know, obviously to Jill in China and to all these charities that I've worked with. You can you feel your shoulders sort of relaxing because you don't have to be the campaigner in their presence, because everyone gets it, and you can actually enjoy people's company a lot more and get to know them better, because you're almost there for each other in terms of just being you. And there's very few people in our world now where you're not going into an argument or having to prove something or having to campaign. You can just relax and enjoy people's company.
Well, you know what, Mark, I'm pleased you mentioned that. And of course, everything you said is completely true. You know, we're one big family, really.
It is.
And I mean, one of the reasons, Mark, that I've decided to do this show is because, I mean, I've been on the books for many years, but I don't feel that I contribute. I haven't been able to contribute in a way that I've wanted to. I mean, I just follow in Ira's wake, really, and I make little comments. But the idea of introducing doggy people is to provide a platform for dog lovers all around the world, and they don't have to be famous celebrities like yourself, but people. What I've got to learn is there's thousands and thousands of unsung heroes out there that do so much for dogs and animals, and I'm determined to actually get them all on one way or another, get them on Doggy People, find out about them and, you know, what makes them tick. And so hopefully from little acorns, I mean, I've got the big hitters like you on first, but we're hoping to grow the show over the coming months. And we are going to be getting you back, Mark. I want all the top people to come back on.
Any help I can give you, maybe helping select some of the real animal heroes. I mean, I find stuff, but the stuff that goes on behind the scenes is, I mean, for me, people like the whole foster network are unsung heroes. People that take problem dogs on and then say goodbye to them, or obviously failed fosterers when they keep them. But for me, and I didn't really realise as much until I started researching when I was writing the Lucy's Law book, because obviously ex-puppy farm breeding dogs don't go into rescue as such. They go into foster homes. They, you know, to be institutionalised again would kill them. So for people to take in those damaged, shut down, broken breeding dogs, rehabilitate them, teach them how to use a dog bowl, show them love and a warm house, a family, and the time and patience required, and often money as well, to get them just to be a dog again. That blows my mind. And there's hundreds of people around the country, maybe even thousands, that just dedicate their lives to improving the lives of dogs on that level. And for me, that it just is incredible, and that needs to be really highlighted, because it's just those people are the most special, I think. to take on those broken dogs and rehabilitate.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, Mark. And believe me, over the coming months, I'm going to get quite a selection of them on the show with a multiple screen. So maybe we'll get you back on and we can both have a good old natters to good few of them. I've got quite a list in mind of people that I know, and they are some wonderful people. So, Mark, one of the things we do on Doggy People is I like to give our guests an opportunity to nominate a charity that they'd like to make an appeal for. Are you up for that?
Yeah, no pressure.
No, I know on you, because what I've got here, I've got my charity bell, and this is, look, it's just something that you can make to camera. If there's any particular charity, it could be anyone at all, you can just make an appeal. If anyone out there would like to support the charity that Mark's going to nominate, just give a little or a lot or whatever you can. If you can, just make a small donation, because that's one of the things that helps our show. We're here to try and help support animal welfare charities. That's what it's all about, and the people who run those charities. So listen to what Mark's going to say and let's support him.
I'd like to nominate one in the UK and one abroad, if that's all right.
You can have two. Go for it.
One in the UK, I would say Friends of Animals Wales, which I'm patron of, run by Eileen Jones, and much about what I've just been talking about. So she runs, it's a foster-based rescue, and she takes in the ex-breeding dogs from Welsh puppy farms and rehabilitates them, and her network does. We worked together many times, but we sourced the dog Dylan for the Prime Minister, which was Dylan the puppy was going to be drowned because he had an underbite and wasn't going to be sold. She works tirelessly around the clock, volunteer-run rescue, and it's just one of the most inspirational, incredible people I've ever met, let alone have the pleasure of working alongside. So Eileen Jones and Friends of Animals Wales, I would definitely recommend as my UK charity of choice. And my overseas charity of choice would be Animal Aid Unlimited, who are based just outside Udaipur in India. And they do a lot of the work with the street dogs and cows and school visits. And I just had the most magical time when I was there last year. And I wrote my trip up, and it took 19 months, but it's just been published by the Telegraph Travel. Because it's one of the few sanctuaries in the world that you can just rock up to if you're traveling around or on holiday, and you can actually just volunteer there for the morning or for the day or for a week. They're incredibly inclusive, and you can do anything depending on your experience or confidence around animals, from sort of bottle feeding calves to mucking out to just stroking some of the disabled dogs that have been hit by cars and they're just there in the sanctuary. So Friends of Animals Wales in the UK and Animal Aid Unlimited in India, both just the most incredible charities that I'm so proud to have worked with, alongside, and now am sort of ambassador for. Yeah.
Mark, well done. We'll actually put a line up on the credits, so anyone who is watching can actually make a donation. Fantastic.
And by all means, if people are watching and they fancy, India's been particularly hard hit by COVID, but let's think positively, when things improve in the world, I would definitely recommend going to volunteer at Animal Aid Unlimited. It was one of the most special fortnights I've ever experienced, and I've volunteered a lot abroad. But the love on that sanctuary and the care, and just it's magical. And there's a word called karunya, which is, I think, a Hindi word for compassion, and it's everywhere you look. And I just can't speak more. And the city Udaipur itself is just magical. It featured in James Bond's Octopussy, the Monsoon Palace. Apparently, I haven't seen the movie, but featured in Octopussy. But it's the city of lakes. There's all these lakes and beautiful buildings. You have to go via Delhi or Mumbai, but what a place. Udaipur, Animal Aid Unlimited. Get involved when things start moving again. The world starts returning to some form of normality.
Will that happen? I think
it will eventually.
It will eventually. But thanks for that, Mark. Now, I'd actually nominate you as one of my all-time favourite animal welfare heroes. But who would you nominate if you had to nominate one single person? who in your eyes is worthy of being an animal welfare hero?
I'd say Linda Goodman, who most people will be unfamiliar with the name. She founded Cariad. She is kind of my right-hand person in terms of the one person I can always turn to. We've discussed stuff. Probably spoken to Linda every day, bar weekends, for the last 7 or 8 years, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. We bounce ideas off each other. I spoke to her on the way here to my sister's house. She is an unsung hero. She was actually awarded the Animal Hero Award last year. RSPCA, Battersea, or whoever does it now, the Mirror. But she is my confidant in all things campaigning, and she would be my number one hero. It's actually her birthday today as well.
Happy birthday, Linda.
She would be my number one
Come
hero
on the
in
show.
terms of someone who does the most. She also co-founded Foster First. Someone who does the most, but has probably most people don't really know what she does or that she does so much. So she would be my number one unsung hero, without a doubt. Yeah. And thank you, Linda, if you're watching, which she will do eventually.
Yeah, she will. Well, we'll have to get Linda on the show, and then we'll hear her side of the story. She go, "I've got this bloke Mark, rings me every blooming day."
Yeah, right pain in the ass.
They ask,
"How do I block his number?"
Yeah.
No, but she is, the first person I told about when I came up with the Lucy's Law concept. We started campaigning together. She even in the early days, she locked herself in a puppy farm sort of pen for, I think it was 7 days and 7 nights. She is a campaigner that walks the walk and talks the talk times a million. None of the stuff that I've achieved with regard to the puppy farm campaigning stuff could ever have even got anywhere near where we did without Linda's input. So she deserves full praise. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we will be getting onto Linda, and we will get her on the show eventually. But in fact, now I'm exhausted just following what you've done in your life so far, and we haven't even got to the main event now, which we're going to speak about right now. So we come to the grand finale, and what I think is your personal crowning glory, Mark. It is, of course, Lucy's Law. I mean, you've mentioned it several times in the show, but for everybody watching, we really want you to take us along that unbelievable journey from when it first started to the day that it was incorporated. I think it was the 13th of May last year, it became law. I mean, I was so proud of you that day, and Lisa, of course. I mean, I tagged along to down Downing Street. When you were making your speech, I was standing at the back of the garden, eating all the smoked salmon sandwiches and drinking all the Chardonnay. But you were awesome. It was a day that will stick in my mind forever. But Mark, if you will, just tell us all about Lucy's Law. How did it come into being?
It came into being because one night at my emergency shift, I saw puppies coming in from dying of parvovirus, and they were all brought in by clients from different practices who subscribed to my emergency clinic. So that was the first weird thing. I think it was 8 puppies with parvo, and it's a disease that we vaccinate against, so we rarely see it. And when we do see it, we see it maybe once a month, if that. So to have 8 cases in one night was very, very unusual. I think we saved 6. We lost 2, sadly, horrible disease. And then went undercover and found out where they were being bought from. And obviously it was the same dealer. And then I found out that the dealer was a legal third-party dealer. He was buying them in from a legal puppy farm in Wales. So this whole process was like, that's not ideal, because you're always meant to see the puppy with its mum in the place it was born. And that was the government's advice. And it was like, well, how can you advise that and allow this legal route to market when the people can't see the puppy with its mum in the place it was born? So that was the hypocrisy right at the top. But before I even knew about law or politics or anything, I just wanted to raise awareness. I had a media profile. I was doing Paul O'Grady show. And so I set up the dog show, Pup Aid. Became very popular, moved it to London, became more popular with celebrities. So that was great. But it was once a year, raising a load of awareness, and kind of quiet the rest of the year, apart from social media. And then I started to go to Westminster. Caroline Lucas got me up there talk about the campaign, did my first e-petition, got the 100,000, lost the debate because the government was being lobbied by the pet industry, who kind of, in my opinion, feared that if you start banning puppies and kittens from pet shops, which is effectively what was part of what we were campaigning for, as their third-party sellers, that would eventually lead to maybe rabbits being banned and all the rest of it. So big pet superstores would definitely suffer. So we lost that, and then it was just a case of sort of waves and waves of trying again to get this over the line, which was to ban third-party sellers, which obviously means that you could only see puppy interacting with its mum in the place it was born, which automatically provides accountability of the seller because they are automatically the breeder. And accountability was something that you could never get when puppies and kittens were being sold by third parties such as pet shops. So we just carried on and carried on, carried on. I used to go up to Westminster every day off from work. So as I said, over 300 times in about 6 or 7 years, meeting MPs, going to receptions, speaking, arguing in rooms of hundreds of people, which I hated. But we slowly made progress, and there was a select committee inquiry which also recommended to the government they ban third-party sales. The government said no. We found out that some of the biggest charities in the UK were behind the scenes trying to sabotage and block what we were trying to get over the line, which was probably the most depressing time. Then Lucy died, sadly, in December 2016. And she was kind of the Princess Diana dog of the sort of the puppy farm campaigning world. She was a dog that was, really badly treated, and obviously in a puppy farm. Rescued by Lisa, rehabilitated by Lisa, and she became that sort of loved, just amazing, brave dog that just loved humans, even though they'd kind of betrayed her in the puppy farm. And so, and then when she died, and we were told that the big charities were let's say unsupportive of what we were trying to do, the government was saying no to what we were doing, even though the select committee inquiry, and every MP was on board. It was like, what do we do next? And we were up against this sort of power of government and the pet industry and these big charities worth millions and billions. And there was only sort of 5 of us in our spare time just sort of campaigning. And that's when I got the idea to rebrand the campaign. And this was channeling my dad coming from above, the advertising side of things, by rebranding the campaign to ban commercial third-party puppy and kitten dealers to Lucy's Law, which was a very handy alliteration as well, and a hashtag. And it just took a whole new meaning. And I remember asking Lisa for permission to call it Lucy's Law. And I think it was at one of the dog shows in Hampstead. It was on the Heath. I think it was. What do you call me? How rude. So it was, and I remember asking Lisa, I ran it past Peter, I'd already run it past Linda, and there were only 4 people in the world, I remember thinking, knew that it was going to be called Lucy's Law. And I remember saying to Lisa, if this works, your dog will be the dog that changes the world. And she started crying, and everyone started crying. And then we had to launch it in Westminster, but we couldn't publicise what the launch was about because we knew it'd be sabotaged or ruined somehow. So we had to do a whole online survey about breeding dogs just to get the right people in the room to announce the results, and then actually say that you're not here for that, you're here because we're launching Lucy's Law. So there was in those days it was frantic, and that's why I said Linda's so important, because to have that sort of fellow partner in crime, if you like, to bounce ideas off all the time and to shape campaigning was essential. And then we launched it, and it became so popular. We had a debate. We had another repetition, which got to 100,000 signatures in 13 days. We were mentioned on Crufts, on Best in Show on Channel 4, Claire Balding. I was in number 10 at this point, maybe 2-3 times a week, discussing it with...
You had your own desk there.
At one point, it felt like it. It was incredible, and I was allowed to take in people like Sarah Clover, people like Julia Carr, my legal advisors, if you like, and they were playing devil's advocate. We were answering all the questions. And then Michael Gove was the Secretary of State for the Environment, who was kind of a game changer as well. He was the 4th minister we'd been lobbying. All the others had ignored us or or just done the opposite. And he was the one that listened to the campaigners. And I actually still think if it wasn't for Michael Gove, we'd probably still be campaigning, or maybe don't know what would have happened.
He was very supportive, yeah.
He was the one he looked at the evidence and said, actually, the campaigners are right, and the big charities in the pet industry aren't. And he was the one that helped get it over the line. And then the next thing I knew, had a consultation, which is called a call for evidence, 3 months, encouraging everyone to send in responses to should we or shouldn't we ban third parties. The Prime Minister, who was Theresa May at the time, she tweeted on, I think, February the 8th, 2018, she tweeted, we're launching a consultation to ban third parties. So there was intent in the tweet. And I thought, there's something in this. And then, of course, August, I got the email from the government, number 10, saying, would you supply the quote for the press release, embargoed, obviously. You've done it. And so I looked at the press release, and it was Michael Gove's quote and room for my quote, and it's like, we've actually done it.
Hey, yeah.
And then there still had to be another consultation for the mechanism of it, and that came back with 97% in favour. And then, of course, it has to move into legislation. So that was last summer, and now it's law. Yeah, it's madness. So now in England, you have to see the puppy interacting with its mum in the place it was born. So accountability, no more puppies in pet shops. And yeah, it's the law. And it still makes me go, how did we do it? But
unbelievable. The whole thing was, I mean, I followed the whole thing from start to finish. And because of you, Mark, I actually never thought I'd actually get behind the door of 10 Downing Street. So that was cheers for that. Cheers for that. And the drinks and the salad were great.
Do you know what was lovely is that number 10 said, this is your campaign. You have the guest list. You can invite who you like, and obviously friends and family, and campaigners. And what moved me probably the most in that day, obviously not having my dad there, he would have absolutely loved that. But seeing the ex-puppy farm breeding dogs walking around and knowing that, and seeing that Downing Street Kitchen had cooked for them those bone-shaped treats. So they'd gone from these hellholes in Wales to now running around Downing Street Garden. And
awesome.
That for me was an incredible sight.
Yeah. And of course, Mark, you're no stranger now to being around these parliamentary people. And of course, I'm really fascinated to know, how was it that you got the call from Boris to go and get Dylan? How did you get Dylan for the Prime Minister? How did that happen? What happened? And what's Boris like to deal with on a doggy level?
He's lovely.
I think he's a nice guy. Yeah,
he's a nice guy. He is a nice guy, and he's a big dog lover. But there was a rumour going around Downing Street that they were looking for a dog, and let's just say one of the charities was quite, let's say, loud about being the charity that were going to supply it, let's say. And
Who was it?
It's a London-based charity, and it's not you.
Oh, crap.
Anyway,
go for that. It's not all dogs matter.
It's definitely not.
Good.
Anyway, I thought, yes, obviously rescue dog, they have to get a rescue dog. And I remember when Obama got his Portuguese water dogs, they were both pedigree from breeders. And I thought, what a missed opportunity, So I thought, instead of just a rescue dog, and obviously no disrespect to just rescue dogs, but I thought we could do more. So I contacted Carrie, obviously Boris's fiance, his girlfriend at the time, and we were friends anyway from campaigning. So I DM'd her on Twitter, and I said I really could do with chatting with you about the decision for getting this dog. She's like, yeah, okay. So she said, come to Downing Street tomorrow at 4 p.m. and I'll pick you up from the foyer, and you can come up to the flat, right?
Oh,
so I'm thinking, yeah. So obviously went the next day, went upstairs to the flat, which is their house in number 11. Yeah. And they call it the
What's
flat.
It like?
It's massive. It's like, we see it from the outside. It's like the TARDIS. It's like a 3-story mansion within that place. And that's just that where they live. And they'd only just moved in. So Carrie was like, sorry, there's boxes everywhere. We haven't chosen the art yet from the government art collection. And she goes, but it's so exciting. We're here. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm excited too. So we had a chat, and I explained to her about the story of Lucy's Law. and some of the behaviour of some of the major animal welfare organisations. And she said, well, what do you suggest then? And I said, look, you can get a rescue dog, but you can also get a rescue dog that's kind of symbolises Lucy's Law in a way. This is a rescue like Eileen Jones, Friends of Animals Wales, volunteer run, and they only deal with broken, shut down, rescued breeding dogs or puppies that are going to be put to sleep or drowned. So Carrie, because she's a massive animal lover and she's only ever adopted rescue dogs, said, yeah, can you put me in touch with Eileen? So I did, and we did an email intro. Then I got the guided tour of their house, which was mental. And then I was there for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Anyway, left there, did the email intro, and then 10 days later, I was in Spain on the beach with my mates getting drunk, and the phone rang, and it was an English mobile number, which I never normally pick up, but I was pretty drunk, so I thought, what the hell, I'm on holiday, who could it be? And that voice said, hello. And I was
my days.
Hello. And he goes, is that Mark? And I was like, yeah. And it's Boris here. I'm with Carrie, and we've chosen Dylan. How can we make this happen? And I was like, so I put him on speakerphone. And everyone was like, and anyway, so we chatted, and he said, are you abroad? And I was like, obviously from the ringtone. And I was like, yeah, I'm in Spain. He goes, I'm terribly sorry to interrupt your holiday. I said, Prime Minister, you can call me whenever you like. So it was just an amazing moment where the Prime Minister called, and we set it up. It was this time, well, it was September last year, and we did, Downing Street leaked that they were getting a rescue dog. I was already on a WhatsApp group with Carrie, sharing pictures from Eileen of Dylan and videos, because little Dylan was in foster first. And then met them off the train. The Telegraph, I think, printed that day that it was going to be that day. So I walked around the corner of Downing Street holding the Carrie case with little Dylan inside, and just the world's media were just lined up along the street, which was mental for a rescue dog. I mean, it's a dream come true to promote rescue, to have that, obviously, that level of profile. And apparently on CNN, they cut to it, on BBC and ITV and all the news channels, they cut immediately to me walking up. Eileen and her gang, the fosterers, had all their matching Friends of Animals Wales T-shirts on. And we went in, and I remember knocking on the door of number 10, and all the journos and press going, turn around, we can't see him. I just stood, turned around, and he was like looking straight out at them. And then we went upstairs to the flat again. Boris came up, and they bonded immediately. Dylan was so happy running around. And then we went in the garden, had a photo session. Boris took my rosette and wore the rosette, had that moment with him. And since then, I've been on a WhatsApp group with Carrie and Boris, and I get pictures of not just the dog anymore.
Really?
But I get pictures of the dog and the baby now. Yeah.
Oh, my word. Yeah. Awesome. Mark, it was incredible. So that's absolutely incredible.
When you say, all these moments that have happened in the last, that in itself, just, and also on the campaign trail, Carrie took Dylan around the country, and I was getting updates of Dylan in all these different towns, and she came to Brighton, obviously. But there's just so many moments that have happened over the last few years, which you couldn't ever make up or predict or certainly plan.
No.
But they've just happened, and I've enjoyed every single one of them.
Life is a mystery, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. Mark, did you ever think when you were that little boy operating on that tortoise that it would lead to you having a day like you had? I mean, absolutely. So dreams can come true. I mean, you set your mind to it. You're an absolute awesome individual, Mark.
Just also, there's another tiny little chapter that I've missed out, which I've just remembered, is a movie that I'm a producer of. I mean, I didn't really do much, but called Dog by Dog, and it's an American
in America,
puppy mill documentary, which you can watch. It's called Dog by Dog. It's about the big agricultural industries in America stopping puppy farm laws rather than other stuff over here. But there's lots of parallels, and it's really, really good, promotes rescue. But that is also in conjunction with an amazing charity, which deserves a mention, called Finding Shelter. And they're based in Pennsylvania. You've met Grace and Steve. And I've done a few puppy mill rescues in Lancaster County with them. and Peter. And they're fighting for something called Victoria's Law, which is to ban puppies and kittens and rabbits in pet stores. So they deserve a mention too, because again, grassroots, like doing some incredible work with minimal resources. And that for me shows the intent and the commitment with some of my campaigning buddies, let's say. It's to have so little, but to wish for a dream for something so big, which is to improve the lives of animals. So those are the guys for me that are my favorite people in the world. And I'm so lucky to have met them and campaign with them and rescue dogs with them. And now we all support each other like one big family, as you well know, because you're part of it. So, back to that movie, as a producer, I remember when we premiered it in New York and then in Philadelphia. I mean, even saying these sort of things is mental. But Chris,
when I was in New York and I was premiering my movie,
Chris, the main guy.
Who said we couldn't get good guests on?
Right?
Yeah.
Chris, the executive producer, the main guy, he said, it would be good to show it in England. And I was like, I'd already said I'd love to show it. Where would you do it? And so we premiered it in the House of Commons, in the biggest committee room in the House of Commons. So again, to premiere a movie that I'm a producer of in the House of Commons, it's just another sort of tick that I didn't even know existed. But a lot of these things that we've done didn't exist before, to do these sort of things. And I think that's what I love, and that's why I miss my dad so much, about wanting him to see the influence he's had on me in terms of branding, in terms of the creativity of the campaign. We're calling it Lucy's Law. These, these rosettes, the giant Mother's Day card at Crufts, Hupade, the guitar with all the rock legends' signatures on. There's been so many thinking outside the box moments, which is what he did as a creative director of an advertising agency. And it was only in the last couple of years I realized that his career as an advertising executive was, of course, based around coming up with ideas and running campaigns off the back of them, and with a view to trying to engage with every member of the public and getting them to obviously buy the product or have some sort of interaction with the brand. And it's exactly what I've been doing as well, which is getting everyone, a member of the public, to engage with the campaign, and instead of buying the product, maybe signing a petition or getting behind the campaign. And our careers are so similar, and I never realised that when he was alive.
Bless him. Listen, Marc, he's always with you. You are him. He's living on through you. That's for sure. Yeah, I'm sure he'd be very, very proud of you, Marc, as everybody is. I mean, as I said, you're an unbelievable character. I could talk to you for 24 hours non-stop. All I need is black coffee in a bucket. That's all I need. That's all, nothing more.
Hang on, what's the bucket for?
Well, I'm actually using it at the moment as we speak. It's a long show. Sure. So, Marc, we're coming to the end of the show, and always at the end of the show, I like to play a little bit of a game with our guests. It's called Doggy People Dabble, and I'm going to really put you on the spot here. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. First one being, I love when I asked this to Peter. If you woke up tomorrow morning as a 20-year-old, what would be the first 3 things you do?
Wow.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
Did you say tomorrow morning?
Yeah, you could have woken up this morning. You're working at...
Saturday morning is relevant, because I'd be preparing breakfast with a view to watching Football Focus, and then watching as much football as humanly possible over the weekend. So that's the first thing I do.
Right, number 1.
I'd obviously be checking my social media every 7 seconds, or probably more, which I do anyway. And I'm actually staying at my mum's tonight, so probably going for a walk with my mother.
Oh, now that's sweet.
Is that good? Do we like that?
That was very clean and nice. You want to hear Peter what he would be doing?
No, I'm disgusted with his.
Peter was really disgusting, and you know what? We loved it. We loved it. No,
I could be disgusting, but I'm keeping it nice and clean.
All right, I'll give you one more chance. What's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure. My guilty pleasure is, I don't know I've probably got quite a few.
List them. We've got time.
Oh my God, that's so on the spot.
It is, isn't it? Well, that's what I do. That's me. That's what I do, Mark. Put people on the spot.
And I'm sure there's something, but I yeah. What was Peter's? Give me some inspiration.
Well, I can't tell you that because this is a family show. I mean, it involved a bit of jiggery pokery, shall we say? No, but it actually, no, one of his was out. He likes a drink. Does our Peter Bear? He likes
is that
a drink.
guilty pleasure? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Doesn't have to be a horrible thing.
My guilty pleasure is a Negroni, which is my favourite drink. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
Ira's dad's favourite drink, a Negroni. Funny enough, but there you are. So you've got that in common with him.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, look, Mark, is there anything you want to ask me at all before we sign off the show?
No, I just want to thank you for your support and for Ira's support and for all that All Dogs Matter do for dogs. And it's nice to be in the company of people that are doing it all for the right reasons, which is dog welfare and ultimately human welfare as well. And the passion and the commitment you show, all of you show in your whole charity show to dog welfare is just mind-blowing. And that's why people like myself and Peter do what we do, because we can be around and see it actually in action with the stuff that you guys do. So for me, it's all one big family, and we're all part of it. And you know, charities like All Dogs Matter are just, they blow my mind in terms of what you achieve every single day, and for the years that you've done it, and you will continue to do so. So the difference you make to dogs' lives and to human lives is worth celebrating. And you should be your own guest one day, or maybe you'll interview Ira as well.
Well, look, you know, Mark, thank you so much for those really kind words. And once again, just this is for the audience. I need to really emphasize and point this out, that I of course, I'm an ambassador for All Dogs Matter. I'm married to Ira, who's the founder member of All Dogs Matter. But believe me, she's the one that does all the hard work. She does everything. I'm not directly involved. I don't go out and do the dog rescues myself. I'm actually involved in another world where I rescue humans. I think you know that what I do, you know, in my daytime job is I support people with special needs. I actually provide accommodation for people with special needs. But when I'm not doing that, then of course I'm doing everything I can for All Dogs Matter, and also trailing you and Peter and Ricky, and supporting all the amazing people in this wonderful fraternity that we like to call animal welfare. So, Mark, I've got to just close the show and tell you that you know, you're one of the most loved and respected animal welfare people on the planet, as is Peter Bear. I'm really proud to call you my friend, and I just want to thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming on Doggy People today. And all I want to ask you is, will you please come back another time in a few weeks' time and talk to us again and meet some more of our amazing doggy people?
Yes, of course. I'd be honoured to, Phil. And yeah, just thanks for your time as well, and thanks for all the fantastic questions and everything that you do for clearly for humans and helping Ira out. So it's about empathy, it's about compassion, it's about kindness. And I'll end on this. The worst experiences we've had campaigning are from those larger animal welfare organisations, the one with the millions and the billions and all the resources possible, who seem to, in my opinion, just want the status quo to continue for whatever motive. And to work alongside yourselves and some of the smaller organisations and campaigners that want to change stuff and improve the situation is what drives me and people like yourselves. So as I said, it's one big family, we're all part of it. And to be honest with you, I think the campaigning charities and smaller guys we've now got this sort of, we've got this with social media, we've got this sort of, everyone's on the same page, you know, no matter what your resources are, we've all got this voice. And I think our voices are being heard more than ever before now, which is why we're seeing so much more progress being made, whether it's Lucy's Law or, you know, some of the other campaigns that are going on. there's confidence now with the campaigners to start changing stuff. We've got all the tools that are out there. I'm actually considering writing a book, my next book, about all the free campaigning tools that are out there to empower people to actually carry on trying to make a difference for animals, or for anything really, any vulnerable community. And the more stuff we do like this, the more content that we produce, like these podcasts and chats, and hopefully maybe inspiring people to change stuff as well, then the world can only become a better place. So thanks, Phil, for your time today as well.
Amen. Bless you, Mark. Please give it up for the amazing Marc Abram.
Thank you.
Oh, you too. Love you so much.
You
Lots
too,
of
Mark.
love.
You too, buddy.
See you
Thank you.
See you next
and love
time.
to Ira.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Well, that's the end of our show. Best day ever for me. I hope you enjoyed it. So thanks for watching me, and join me next time when I'll be chatting to the unbelievable dynamic duo of Angela and Martin Humphrey, who've got a combined age of 181 years. They're unbelievably famous for raising fortunes for animal welfare charities. And I'll tell you something, Angela, bless her, has got a mouth like a sewer sometimes, so it'll be a bit of a fun show. So join me next time. And that's it from me. Stay safe, love your dog, and cheerio!